Coming to you from the distant outreaches of the galactic interweb, it is I, Feather, here again, apprehensively hoping that the communications don't drop out on me again. You know the struggle here. If you have received any of these transmissions, you know the deal. You know that I'm in a constant battle with technology, and every day is just more of the same. But I digress, because I still, having since been recently inspired by a conversation I had with my sister, I am on a quest to just reach out to more people that I haven't talked to in a while, and reconnect and see what's going on in their lives, and hopefully get a little bit of information to download. I feel like I've spent more than enough time bitching on this show, so I'm going to do that today. And but of course, as always, I am going to attempt to call my mom again to see if she ever answers. So let's give that a whirl and see if we get it.
Hi, you've reached Colleen.
Classic.
I can't come to the phone right now.
Classic, Mom.
I'm living and loving it up in
Yeah, we
Florida.
get it. Okay, well then on to the next. I thought today I could call my friend Bo, who is from the great northern state of Minnesota. We lived together for a little bit. He has been a friend that has traversed the music journey with me in many different stages. So I'm really curious to see what's going on out there. So let's rip it. Let's see. I'm pretty sure his number is just Bo Weber. All right. Hello? Anybody out there? Hello? Bo?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what's up? Thanks for answering. No, it's been a while. Hold on, you got video? I'm gonna pull this up here quick.
What's going on, dude?
There you go, man. I was recently inspired by a conversation that I had with my sister, where we were talking about connecting with our inner selves, our inner youths, and how that relates to the pursuit of artistry and creativity and stuff like that. And I feel like you and I have always been in similar stages in life, and I know we share a lot of similar interests, and I just kind of wanted to see what was going on and where you're at in your artist journey. What's new? Start. I know that's a loaded question. Maybe just start and say what's new. What's going on in your life?
Yeah. So I guess as far as artist journey goes, man, it's always a roller coaster of highs and lows and pauses and stops and starts. But right now, I guess I'm in the process currently. As you can see, my house is. We were trying to fill holes because we were painting the walls and things like that. I've gone through a whirlwind recently of unfortunate events that has prevented me from being able to do and pursue music the way I'd like to.
What do you mean?
So I'm just kind of trying to patch things up in this and that order so I can move on.
Did something bad happen?
Well, so it all started with I had this wild idea that I was going to quit my job because I thought, hey, I've been at it for over 8 years. I've been working for this marketing company full time, and what was once a dream job became not a dream job anymore. And I was ready to move on, and I thought, well, what do I want to do next? And the answer was nothing in terms of working for somebody. And the real answer was, I want to make music, and I want to really give this thing a full shot, because now me at the age that I'm at, I'm thinking, if I quit right now, if I stopped at all, or I didn't get a chance to do the things I wanted, did I really try? Did I really give myself a real honest effort? And the answer was no. So I figured, well, I'm going to quit my job, and I'm really going to push. This is going to be the final chance at something happening here. And so I did. I quit my job, and the day after I quit my job, my house flooded.
Oh my God.
I got like several inches of water in the basement, and it proceeded to happen throughout the next couple of weeks 4 times. So I was downstairs of the shop vac, sucking up all this water and trying to, a lot of things that were damaged, trying to dry them out. And it would happen again. Big rain would come. We were part of a disaster, I guess. So FEMA has tried to help a lot of the houses in our area, but the river flooded. It just caused a lot of damage for a lot of homes in my area. So people were telling me, buy a house. It's a great investment idea. Okay, great. And I went through there's so much to do in order to be able to buy a house. It's been thousands and thousands of dollars of repairs, and it talks about needing to install equipment so this doesn't happen again, and rebuild the basement, things like that. So
this is interesting to me because I've known Bo quite a while. How many years has it been? Since like 2011 or something, probably. And a lot, if not most of that time, you were like traveling or living out of a van. And how does it feel being a homeowner? And now I feel like you're just dealing with bullshit of owning a home, and you're like, dang, a van would be kind of sick right now.
I just bought a van.
Did you? Are you like, I'm out?
Yeah. I don't know if you can see, probably can't see it. Actually, you know what?
Take a trip.
Show you.
Take a trip. Show me, please. I want to see it. Yeah.
We're taking a trip.
Oh, this is exciting. Okay.
It's the mom van. It's not like the van I had before. I had like a conversion van, and I had a bed in it and everything, and I was living in there for like 7 seasons. But now I have a house, and naturally, the mom minivan.
Oh, mom van, yes. So why did you opt for that versus like another van you could sort of live in?
Well, I wanted a van to live in, but to be honest with you, my friend that had moved back from Seattle, and he'd moved here back to Minnesota, he had asked me to officiate his wedding, him and his fiance's wedding. And me being the procrastinator that I am, I thought I had plenty of time. And all of a sudden, I thought it was like September 17th or whatever. And then he messages me one day, and he goes, hey, we're having rehearsals tomorrow. And this was like midnight on a Thursday. He goes, rehearsals are tomorrow. And I was like, wait, what? I'm confused. He's like, yeah, the wedding, it's this Saturday. And I was like, holy smokes, it's the 7th, not the 17th. So that day, I had to be in Minneapolis by 4 p.m. I woke up around noon because I like to sleep in, and I walked across to this car lot, and I said, I need a car.
No way. You just needed to get somewhere and you bought it?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
And the reason why I didn't have a car is because my Jeep that I had, I lost that to the flood because it was totaled. I wouldn't even run. It had water damage in the engine. So I had $5,000 in my pocket that I grabbed from the bank, and I said, oh, also, I cashed out my 401k because I was like, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and wait till I'm 59 and a half. I may not even be alive. I need this money more, even though I'm going to get a slight penalty. They're going to take some of my money. I don't care. I only had like 30 grand in there anyways. It wasn't huge. So the money that I got from that, I took out $5K and I ran to the bank and I said, hey, I need a car. And they're like, okay, I got to be in Minneapolis by 4:00. They're like, oh, it's like, yeah. So he's like, how about this one? They like, okay, I test drove this Suburban, and an engine light came on right away. Turned around, I go, no, not that one. And he's like, and I was like, well, what about this van over here? It was like $4,900. It's a Chrysler Town and Country. I was like, it's baby blue. It looks definitely not my style, but like, you know what? I can maybe sell it. I was like, whatever, I buy it. And I went down and I did the wedding. We got to rehearsals on time. I was super nervous, and it worked. It went really well. The wedding was fantastic. And I like the van, so I'm keeping the van.
No way. So what do you like about it?
What I love about it, this is what people, when they get older, these are the things that you get excited about, man.
Yeah.
All the seats are stow and go into the floor.
Oh, nice.
So there's so much space back there, and you wouldn't think that there would be because it's a smaller van than what I'm used to in terms of living space, but it's plenty for like a full-size mattress. Honestly,
that's a touring vehicle right there. I've done a tour in a minivan.
That's what I'm thinking. I think, if anything, if it's just me touring and I'm just using backtracks, I can fit my gear in a bed down there. And I can even build like a slight, call those like a box or something, so the mattress can sit maybe like a foot and a half higher, and then you can have storage underneath.
Yeah.
Or I could just get a trailer. Not a big deal.
Yeah. Okay. So why did you have a revelation then to quit your job?
I was very depressed this winter, and I couldn't even get out of bed. And I was like getting written up and stuff because I couldn't even get out of bed for work just to get up and sit in my chair.
You're getting written up? They write you like a citation or something?
I don't know when the last time you've worked a job, Kyle, but this is how it goes.
Yeah, you're right. I haven't worked like a job like that since college, before college probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
And being there for over 8 years.
This is how it is.
Yeah. Being there for over 8 years, I had a lot of, I had some longevity there, and they worked with me. They tried to help me out. I tried to be open with them about my mental health and the depression I was experiencing. I was like, there was a point where I didn't care about anything, not my job, not my life. There was no point to any of it at all. Uh-huh. And I was doing therapy, weekly therapy, and then I eventually got on medication, although I was really resistant to it. And it just kept getting worse and worse. And eventually I knew that I was going to get fired. And at that time, I took a 30-day leave of absence, which they allowed me to do. And within that 30-day leave of absence, I felt so good not having any responsibilities work-wise and all of that stuff off my shoulders. The stress was gone. And I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do this job anymore. So that's when I came back for one day, and I couldn't even wake up that day. I was late for several hours late to clocking in. I was working remotely, so all I had to do was sit in my chair and sign on. Not even that was enough. I was like, I'm spent. I don't have any more to give. I'm done. So I resigned.
Wow.
And the house flooded, and that's been fun. But it's just so funny because I had so much fear over quitting my job. I had so much fear. What am I going to do if I don't have insurance, if I don't have income? Uh-huh. I do get another job. Will I even like it? Will I like the people? I had relationships there that I really, really enjoyed, and I knew that they would be lost when I leave, because that's what happens when you leave a job. There was so much fear. And I'd worked there with that fear and knowing that I wanted to quit for over a year or two. And that's what's so funny about fear is when you finally just let it happen, it's like, what was I so afraid of?
Uh-huh.
That's just silly. Yes, I don't have any money right now. And yes, I experienced a significant damage to my house that's, causing problems. My insurance is going up. I was actually assaulted like a month ago, and I had severe lacerations to my face. I broke my hand. So everything that I thought could go wrong did go wrong. I didn't have insurance. It was like $5,000 in medical bills, all this stuff. And I lost my car. It's just so it's hilarious that the things that I was worried about, did happen. But guess what? I'm still here.
But you figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still, doing it, and that's it. It's I think life, was just like, watch, we're gonna do all this stuff to you, and you're gonna see that it's fine. It's gonna be fine.
Wait, so okay, it sounds like you didn't really primarily quit for music. Did you then go, you know what, I think now's the time to keep going on music stuff?
In the back of my mind, I always wanted to quit for music. And so I think within that year and a half that I was really struggling but still working, I think that the feeling that I was experiencing, because it's like if you don't take action, your body basically will.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was feeling, was like the depression was a result of me not living my true self. And it was like, oh, you want to still stick it out for another year and a half because you're afraid of losing your job and well, guess what? It's going to affect you mentally. So it's like, my body's like, we're going to make the choice for you. we're going to make you so miserable that you can't even freaking clock into work, and then you're going to lose your job. So either you pick it or you're going to have it either way.
Do you feel, were you like feeling like at work you couldn't be your true self?
No, I didn't feel that way.
It was more about just living. You weren't able to live the life that you really resonated with?
I just felt I felt like the projects that I was doing were trivial, meaningless. Like, oh, okay, I'm selling tires. I'm helping auto shops make money. Like, where is that, and where does that lie in any of my purpose? Like, okay, that was, I mean, maybe for somebody who's passionate about cars and stuff, but even if you're passionate about cars, you're not even spending time around cars. You're just, it's just, it's not something that because like, here's the thing. You and me, when you go to a festival, you know that feeling you get when you go to a show.
Yeah.
The bass in your chest when you're walking up into the venue, the lights, the people cheering, you hear it from a distance and you get chills and goosebumps all over your body. And when you're there, you're observing, as an artist, you're observing the gear. You're like, what are they doing there? Okay, they're setting up, or they're, that is my passion. I can tell you right away when I'm, even videography. If I like walked into a videographer set, I wouldn't be as interested and passionate about the setup there. So I know right away that music was always and always will be the thing that I'm excited about. And back to just not giving it an honest effort. Like, I just feel like now is the time where I have to do this, because I have my 401k money, which is going to go so fast. And I'm renting out my house because the mortgage is like $1,500 a month. And that's just going to drain away my reserves. So I have a family moving into the house in about 15 days, and I'm going to go peace out. I'm going to go bring all my stuff to my dad's. And I know that sounds so like, oh, you're relying on your dad to help you out. You know what I mean? I'm sure that there are probably family members of mine that have a negative thought about that. But at the same time, it's like, if I have a resource that can help me achieve like my goals or my happiness, like why let my pride get in the way of not using those resources? You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to spend time with my dad. I'm going to be down there for a long time, and he needs that companionship because he's by himself. Our mom passed away 11 years ago. So it's not like I'm just like using him as a dump off for my things, but that's definitely something that, I'm very fortunate to have. A lot of people don't have the ability to just be like, you know what, I'm just going to live with my dad for free for, a month.
Yeah. Well, something that I've really realized is, like, on the surface, there can be people that might think that is not being an adult or mature or independent or whatever, but what that relationship with your dad is actually a really valuable community. And what I think that is really helpful to someone who is looking to create freely, openly, reconnect with that part of you that you feel like you've haven't been able to indulge in, working these jobs and stuff. And I've found that community is so important to, like, helping with that. So if that's something you have access to, I think you should. If he's I met him. He's a nice guy. He's a supportive guy. Like, he probably wants to be able to do that for you. And like you said, like, you being there is probably really valuable to him too. So
yeah, totally. And I think it's funny because I messaged him because being out here in the middle of nowhere, basically, there's not much to do. And Spirit Lake is a city that's the closest. It's about 20 minutes away. It's a very summery party boat city. A lot of people go there and they vacation. And when you live so close to something like that, you get stuck in that, living that environment. So it was like always going down and getting drunk, like constantly. And then I found myself, I had realized that there was a point of probably a 45-day span where I had drank every single day. And
45 days, you said? Wow.
45 days. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, am I just, because I'm surrounded by alcoholics. Like, not everybody is, but a lot of people are. And I'm realizing it, and I'm like, this is how people get trapped. This is how people get stuck. And I'm realizing I'm not being my best self. I'm wasting a lot of time. And so I messaged my dad and I was like, yo, I'm like getting in fights. I'm becoming an alcoholic. Like, I need to get out of here. And he's like, yeah, you can come on down. So it's nice that I have that escape to get out of this environment. And then it was funny because last time I visited him, he went on this spree of buying guitars, and he's not musical at all. He's
to collect.
He likes to collect stuff. And so he's like, yeah, well, what do you think about this one and this one, whatever? And I was like, oh yeah, like all three of them are good. And he buys all three of them. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, well, I like this and I like that. And now he has them hung up on his wall in his house. And he's like, yeah, so next time you come down, you can play them. I'm just like, and he bought an amp too. I'm like, what do you need the amp for, Dad? You're not, well, you can play it when whenever you want to go out and play. I was like, that's nice. It was pretty cool of him to do that.
So do you feel like do you have a plan, or are you going to, you're now in the stage where you're looking to develop a plan?
I've been listening to my artist radio on Spotify and listening to other artists that I like listening to their radio too. And then I find artists through listening that sound like me. Totally. And then I create a spreadsheet of the artist and their Instagram and their email and all that stuff. And then when I'm ready, and their followers count, and like how realistic is it that I can get on a tour with them. And when I'm ready, I will then email all these people and say, hey, do you guys have any shows or tours coming up in my area? I'd love to be the supporting act, and hopefully that'll kind of start something.
We love a good spreadsheet. Big fan of the spreadsheet.
Yeah,
I love how that reminds me very old school, like our roots. Like it's very kind of guerrilla, like shit we do, promoting in Warped Tour. Just cold emailing bands and shit back in like 2012.
And that's one thing that you and I have a lot in common is we went through the trenches. We went on foot selling CDs to kids at Warped Tour, and we did spend a lot of time on emailing people, trying to get things done. And then it's what's so weird is that the music industry changed,
just gone, yeah,
within like the last 15 years, and it's like now it's gone into, we got stuck basically making content for TikTok. We're just content creators because we were thinking, oh, that's how you get your music heard and you get popular. And then pretty soon, go ahead.
Sorry, it just made me think of because I rant about this shit all the time. Like I've been off TikTok for like 2 years. I'm very much hiding away right now. Right, I'm out here nooked in my ship in the jungle, and I like it that way because when I was slinging TikToks like it was my job, I was so miserable. And I just had the thought, why Why is it that we could follow Warped Tour for a month or two with shit sleep, driving overnight, sleeping on the concrete, get up in the morning and walk the line slinging CDs. I could do that, but and enjoy myself, and I can't do the modern equivalent, which is slinging TikToks. And I don't know, I just have the thought, like, am I just jaded now, or is there actually really a difference there? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like the way that you put that, the modern equivalent.
Because that's how it feels. It does feel like the modern equivalent is slinging TikToks online to promote yourself. It's self-promo. We've done that. Like, I've been there. And I don't know if it's because I'm just, like, over it, or if just that medium or something doesn't work because it's not me interacting with a person in real life and connecting with them and showing my music. Instead, it's this weird, like, tiny digestible version of me that I have to convince someone in 15 seconds, and it's like desperate. I don't know. Because are you slinging TikToks? Have you been slinging TikToks? I know you were a few years ago. I felt like you were slinging.
I tried. I really gave it an effort on. I was so invested. Oh, you got to post 3 times a day. Okay, blah, 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 all this stuff. And that was so much for me because I would just get burned out every time. And then I'd just be like, what's the point? And then I'd be like, oh, wait, no, I got to get back to it. Okay. And then do it some more. And then now I look back at some of the stuff and I was like, this is so embarrassing. Like, why did I fall victim to making some of this stupid stuff just to hope that someone's going to come and hear my song and help my career in some way. It was,
dude, no. I felt the same way about myself. I started to feel desperate, and I hated how I felt. I hated feeling desperate because I was, and I didn't want to be desperate. I didn't. That's like a really weird place to be mentally. And so, yeah, I don't know if that makes you feel better, but yeah, I equally felt. I was like, what am I doing? This is not me. This is weird. So, like, what would burn you out about it? Just the frequency? It's just not sustainable, or was it like what else?
I think it was the frequency, but I think it was also just the motions of it all, because you have to the first time you record something is not going to be the one that you go with, because no matter what it is. So
yeah, that's so true.
It's the repetitive recording. Like, okay, now I'm going to sit here and I'm going to look at the camera and I'm going to say a line, blah, 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 whatever. And then it's like, oh, I fucked that. All right, let me try it again. Shit, what was it again?
Yeah. Dude, yeah, totally. It definitely had a sheet of paper with all the lines written out. I was like, fuck, what was I supposed to say there?
And then you're doing that. And it's like your camera. Okay, my phone's at 4%. Shit, I gotta plug it in. Yeah. And then you get that, and then you get a phone call or something.
Oh my god, dude! Yes,
it's the worst. There's so much that happens. Oh, storage full because I just spent 25 minutes with it recording it, like any of it.
And don't get me started on editing on a phone. Absolute trash. I stopped doing that within the first few months, and I would just put it on my computer and edit it there, because man, did that suck. Except then doing the text, and I was like, oh.
I know. That's the most frustrating part. Bad. It's okay. You got like the trim thing works okay on TikTok, right? And then it gets to adding the text.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, quick, add it, and then it's like set the duration, and it's like, oh, I should set it too short, and there's a typo, and then you gotta click it before it's going, and then it disappears.
Yeah. Oh, I'm awful. So glad you get that. Yeah, man, that was not a. I look back on that and I'm like, I'm not proud. And it's what's fucked up is I got a lot of help from TikTok like right away. Almost like as soon as I started using it, I got lucky with like a very low caliber viral vid of my music, which kickstarted a lot, but. What that did is it gave me a taste of what could be, and I just got sucked in. And I was like, all right, I guess this is what I do now. And I'm just, all right, slinging them out. And I had like a good phase. And then as soon as I like wouldn't keep up, or I shifted the content type or wanted to do anything else, it got weird. And then I found myself like, oh, I'm gonna go and fucking watch a bunch of other people's like videos, and I'm gonna analyze and I'm gonna see, okay, what are they doing? What's going viral here? I should just imitate that and recreate that video. And now I'm not even making shit that I want to make. And
Yeah.
man, I felt like it was such a bad look on me. And
Yeah.
I'm really glad I stopped. So you're stopped. You're currently you've been hands off for a second.
I mean, I posted one today, but it wasn't music related. It's just like, at this point, it's just my life. I'm like, I was watching this documentary and I was like, this part's funny. And I like just post it. And I was like, if other people find my life or my humor interesting, great. But I'm not trying to build a fan base. Like, I literally don't care about that in terms of online stuff. And one of the things I was talking to, my buddy Chris Becker, he had a pretty successful business out of college called Chowza, and it was a puppy chow product, and they did really well on Kickstarter. They made a good amount of money off of it, and he's an entrepreneur, loves to come up with ideas, and he now wants to launch a clothing company, and he has been kind of sitting on his hands a little bit. Like, I mean, he'll print like small batches and see how they look and things like that, and he's excited about them. And he's got, I think, an online store now. But we just had this conversation about how we've gone so online. Everything is so like, oh yeah, everybody buys everything online. So you focus on building a store and a brand and content and da 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 da. And we're both at this point in our lives where we realize, well, what we're good at is human connection and talking to people. He said that's when he sold the most, is when of Chowza, when he would go to these events and talk to people. And he's like, I don't know why I'm so freaking stupid and forgetting that whole experience and now just being all online. He's like, duh, I gotta go to events and sell these clothes to people. And I was like, yeah. And same with me. I got to go to events and show people my music person to person.
Yeah, that's such a good point. It's so easy to forget that that's still an option. I feel like the whole freaking internet social media craze has created this weird fear-mongering that if you don't use it, you won't have a career, it won't work. And like I don't buy it. Like I read a number of books in a row by what the fuck's his name? He wrote a book called Digital Minimalism, but the book that I started with was called So Good They Can't Ignore You. What's his name? It's Cal Newport. That's what it is. Okay. So yeah, I read that book, and that whole book is basically about. It's kind of interesting. It's like, don't quit your job. Give yourself something that allows you the space to hone your craft without the pressure of it being your sole focus, so that you can just get really good without the desperation, kind of. And then I read Deep Work, which is basically about how not enough people spend time in this sort of isolated, researched, getting in depth with their thing, their craft, their interest, and really honing it. And it's easy to get distracted by modern tech and social media and emails and all this stuff. And then he wrote Digital Minimalism. And so it all kind of like tied together into this picture of like how to get good at your shit. And like, also there's alternative ways to have a career, because he doesn't use social media at all. And he has a good career doing what he wants to do. And it really made me reevaluate all these things that you think you're supposed to use. And I was like, and I really saw this come to life when, like, a couple of years ago, I started helping Sadie with her like tattoo stuff. And like, she didn't have an email list. She wasn't really building any sort of way to retain clients. It was just, referral, social media stuff. But I built her an email list, and she just started using it, and she would like open her books and she would have 50 inquiries and be booked within a couple days without posting on social media once. And I realized, I was like, oh, you don't really need social media. There's a lot of other options out there to connect with people or whatever. You just need the right tool to do what you're trying to do. And I feel like, to your point, if your skill is connecting with people, that's still a tool. It's always been an option. Everyone's just kind of forgot that because they think, I don't know, because if you really think about it, like, how are people just not interacting in person? They have to. So, like, it never went away.
Right. And I think with you and I as having the marketing brains that we have, and the interest in not wanting to get lost through the development of technology, like you and I, like, we're trying to stay on top of what's going on and like in technology. So it's like, naturally we were like, oh, we just have to adopt the next new thing because we want to get ahead. We want to be the first to adapt to this so we understand it better, and we can, it's like they would call like the next gold rush, so we're like trying to hop on everything first, and so it can benefit us and so we don't get left behind. But it was like a trap. It was like this huge trap. And now with AI coming out and like these virtual realities and stuff, it's like, well, I don't know what the future is going to look like. I'm probably going to hate it, and I don't know if I'm going to participate, because I know now that not participating doesn't scare me as much as it used to.
Yeah. So I don't remember if this is exactly what the dark the dark forest theory of the internet is, but it's at least similar, I think. So I had this idea, or like realization, paired with AI, that things online are becoming more and more fake, right? Either it's somebody filming something that's made to look like it's impromptu, but it's really scripted and like all that. It could be that type of viral content, or it could be Mid-Journey photos, or the new like AI video and all this stuff. More and more stuff is essentially becoming fake, as in not off the cuff human posts, photos, videos, etc. And it's only going to get harder and harder to decipher what is real and what's not online, right? If you're scrolling through your feed and you see someone post a photo, and you're kind of like, is that real? I don't know if that's real. But the amount of energy it's going to take to think about it, and every post be like, is that real? Is it not real? I don't know. Do I care? Whatever. I feel like, because for me, when I think about that, just trying to, because we kind of want to understand if what we're looking at is something you can relate to, or a real person, or a real experience. And if it's not, you don't connect to it as well. So when I think about that, I'm like, well, if I got to decipher every post to figure out if it's real or not, I would rather just not go on there, because it's too much energy. Like, I don't want to have to just, unless I'm looking to browse the feed of made up stories, why would I go on there? Does any of that make sense? I don't know. I'm just like thinking about trying to decipher that. I'm just like, I don't see anybody wanting to really deal with that. They'd rather just return to the real world, where they know the person they're talking to is real. They know what they're watching is real.
Yeah, I think at the same time, though, it's where everyone gets their news, their worldly news. No one watches TV anymore, really, or the news channels. So everybody is going to be continuously using it, not only I'm sure that people are going to be for entertainment and for information, and so and I think people are addicted to like drama. Like, there's just a natural human element to who we are, and so they're always going to be using these platforms. But it is, for me, like, I definitely have had these experiences where I'm like, you know what, I totally spend less time on my phone than I used to. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, same.
That's a good thing for everybody.
I feel way better. I do. And I get more done.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's like I don't give a shit about politics of what's my friends and family are like sending me Trump stuff and Kamala Harris and stuff, and I'm just like, I literally don't care. My whole the message I send now every time I just paste it. I go, it says, "Who cares, man?" He's like, "Yeah, but this is what's gonna happen." And I was like, "Who cares, dude? Like, you think that you caring about this and getting all crazy is going to change anything? Like, we are a grain of sand in the fucking universe, dude. Like, what's gonna happen will happen. What will happen is meant to happen. Like, this means nothing in 1,000 years. So why not just focus on the things that make you happy and give you emotions that don't cause stress and anxiety?"
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's kind of what I also would like to discuss too, is being intentional about your happiness. That's something that I've not given myself the right to do for so long, and it sounds so simple, but it's so easy to let that get away from you with all of the things that are necessary to do and to live in this life, and the responsibilities, like that just start to pile up, and pretty soon you lose sight of what what you want to do in the first place. Yeah. And I think, doing the TikTok stuff and all whatever is part of that, because it's like, oh, this is part of my goal. There's so many things that are disguised as part of your goal.
Yeah.
And then they suck so much energy from you, and then you're completely distracted, and your goal is way here, and you're somehow, how did I end up over here?
Dude, totally. Yeah, that's where I felt like I ended up. Like, I felt like I was checking all the boxes, doing my job, right? And I ended up somewhere so far away. But to your point, this is exactly where this conversation I was having with my sister was. That was like, I mean, it's something I've always thought about, but I don't know, for whatever reason in the moment she like said it and it like hit me right. But basically, I showed her my new shoes, and I'll show you. I just got these and I'm like so excited about them. They're moccasins. They're like hella Jungle Boy shoes. And I'm like, look at these. And she goes, oh, those are very Kyle shoes. And I was like, really? Because I didn't think they are. I just was drawn to them. And she's like, well, yeah, obviously. You used to wear Toms. You wore Toms for like forever. And those are basically like Toms.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, I did. And we started talking about how she was like, yeah, I had this revelation when I was like 25, and I realized that everybody is still just the younger version of themselves. They haven't changed at all. Which it's like, I mean, maybe you know that, maybe you don't, or it's like, duh, but in context of her being like, yeah, those are your shoes, and me, for whatever reason, at this point in my life, I was drawn to buy moccasins. I just kind of had this urge or intuition. I was like, I think that'd be kind of sick. But what I was doing is I was just getting in touch with this version of myself, my younger self, who I've always been. And it was because he was covered up. He's been covered up for so long by all of this noise and all of this bullshit that I am supposed to do, whether it's, whatever, pay your bills, clean the house, growing up shit, or distractions that you think you have to do for your job, your career, your life, social media, whatever it is. And you get so distracted or just removed and distant from this person you have always been and always will be. You're always going to be you're always going to be 9 years old, right? Or whatever that pinnacle age is before life and trauma starts happening, right? And kind of like stunts that growth. You're always going to be that 9-year-old who wanted moccasins or whatever the fuck it is, and being in touch with that person's like the purest version of you, right? It's our job really to kind of keep him at the surface and uncover him, dig him out when you gotta sometimes, and I think that's why I'm like stoked that you're like, no, like young Bo still needs to play music, and I'm gonna let him. Right? I think that's great. Like, and the fact that
Yeah.
you were able to be like aware enough that there was a problem and figure out what to do about it. Because I think sometimes people end up 50 and they didn't realize they were so distracted or they couldn't hear young them screaming from the basement or whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know?
I love the way that you put that was awesome. And I think that I've always, and this is one thing that I've learned about myself, is that I've tried to be as logical as I can be in terms of why do we do things. Like, I've always a question and asker, like, in church, like, wait, okay, so Jesus, like, I don't understand, like, he did this and he turned into a burning bush and he was talking and what, like, so we got all these animals on a boat, like, and the water parted, and all these stories. Like, you just have to have faith. I was like, it doesn't make sense. Like, there's one example, but another one would be just like, why do we do this? Why do we work until we're 60 and then we enjoy 10, 15 years of our lives at the worst condition that our bodies are at? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I've always been like that, and I don't know if a lot of people are, or if they are, they just accept it.
Yeah.
And they just say, well, there's nothing we can do about it because this is society. And a lot of, like when I told some people I was quitting my job, they'd be like, well, what are you going to do? Like, why? What? And some people were like, congratulations, and that's how I can tell like where people are at in their life or their mind. But I just lost my train of thought. What were you saying there?
Well, yeah, the intuition of questions you've had, and
being able to identify the young version of you that is missing the joy and going out. And I actually had a really cool conversation with my uncle before I quit my job, and I was saying I'm just burnt out being the same career. I just don't want to do this anymore. And he goes, yeah, isn't it funny how when you were kids, you'd go outside and you could pretend to be an astronaut, or you could go dig in the dirt and pretend that you're making like, this river, and there's like rocks, and there's maybe some ants in there, and you're maybe some GI Joes, and then you can pretend that you're being a doctor. Like, it's every day was different, and that's what we're missing. We're missing play, because we're here ultimately out of all of the philosophers, books, the podcasts, even my own experimentation with drugs here and there. The ultimate answer is like, just play. Like, we're here to play. So obviously we can't play all the time, but if play is completely eliminated from your life, and you only get maybe a vacation, like, oh, we go on vacation once a year, that's not enough play. We're gonna be sick and depressed and tired and miserable. And so that's why it's so important now. Like, I'm finding myself again, and I think you are as well, in the things that make us who we are and make us thrive as people. And a lot of people aren't going to understand it. They're not going to accept it because they're just probably frustrated because they're not going to give themselves permission to do it themselves. So they're just going to put their beliefs onto you, being like, oh, he's just traveling around, like being irresponsible. Like, I've heard so many things, so many negative things in terms when I was living in the van, saying I was, I wasn't contributing to society.
Oh, weird.
And I was just getting off easy and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, holy smokes, you have a really unfortunate belief system going on.
That's wild. How is that not contributing? That's some hard projection right there.
Yeah. I was like, oh, so maybe I should, okay, so I need to buy a house in order to contribute. I need to pay more taxes in order to really contribute. It's like, okay. It doesn't make any sense. But, yeah, it was funny. It was, there's so many stories that are going through my head. Just one guy told me, actually my cousin, he goes, well, you're lucky that you can live in a van. It's like, luck has nothing to do with it, man. I was like, he was talking about his financial situation, And I was like, bro, you can do it too. It's like, yeah, it's, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a choice to make.
Yeah. But that's what's really tough though. Even though you and me, we have these, what would you consider them to be, like alternative?
Yeah.
Untraditional ideas. It's like we have to stay on top of it all the time. We have to stay on top of keeping that, like you were saying, that younger version of us at the surface.
Yeah.
Because we're living. It's difficult to be untraditional living in a traditional society, because there's everything that's just like trying to make us conform, whether it's, it's not like as forceful as I'm illustrating it, but it's like imaginary. You can't see it.
It's the product. You're the product of the environment, right? It's not that it's not like it's not like you're like walking around outside and people are like, "Hey, you there, conform." Like, they're not like fucking aggressive. It's not like a dictatorship or whatever, but like it's just the fact that the way society is has been constructed and operating for a while just has certain mechanics to it that if you live within it, its force will be applied to you or whatever. Like you're gonna have to drive a car because your work is 20 minutes away and there's no bike lanes, or you have to in a way conform to wherever you're living. So you're right, it takes extra effort and energy to stay on top of that, because if you don't, it just gets covered up. It's noise, it's dust.
Absolutely.
and yeah,
That's funny. I just went to go ahead.
Oh, I've been really into entropy, the concept of entropy and chaos, and how the natural state of everything is chaos, and chaos will ensue unless you put energy into a system. It's how things, unless you choose to clean your house every so many days, it will inevitably turn into a messier, more chaotic version of that house. So you have to put in energy to keep it from turning into that. Does that make sense? And I feel like that same thing applies to just your state of mind, your habits, health, everything, right? It's maintenance at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It sucks sometimes, right. But
yeah, and oh man, it's crazy that a lot of people agree with maintenance on a lot of part of their life, except for their mind. Like
that's true. And yeah, why is that so taboo?
I don't know.
Because it's like
and it's so
weak
funny
or something. Like
I think it's just we're so distracted, because it's like, okay, yeah, I need to mow the lawn, I need to rake, I need to paint my deck. This is maintenance on things that are important to me. And then I was thinking, well, we do maintenance even on ourselves, but it's like, oh, I need to put the mask on so I don't get wrinkles. I gotta brush my hair or whatever else. But it doesn't. It's often it doesn't go skin deep, or it's only skin deep basically. The maintenance, which is kind of funny. It's like what you can see. That's what I think it is. I think it's the things that you can see are the things that you maintain, and that's why I'm so big on writing notes to myself, because I have to be able to see.
You are a big Post-it guy.
My ideas, my thoughts. Yeah, I'm like, because it won't get done. So I'm a list guy. I'm a Post-it note guy, and that is what helps me. Yeah, that's what's tying it in. The things that I can see are the things I put maintenance in.
Yeah, it's why I kind of hate things. I like things. Too many things stress me out, because it feels like clutter. It feels like it's like kind of like overbearing to me, and more things also require more maintenance. It's more things to go wrong. It's more things to pick up. It's more things to fix. It's more things to move or organize or keep track of. And that, I don't know if I'm just like kind of hyper aware because I think about that shit, but like more things really stress me out, and I'm always trying to get rid of more shit. And in a world that likes shit,
I know, right?
It's kind of hard. It's weird.
Yeah, there's that one comedian who was he something Carson or not Carson, some guy. He was like a very enlightened comedian. Carlson?
Oh,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what's his name? He was an older guy with slick back white hair, and he.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I can't remember his first name, but one of my favorite things, his stand up thing, is talking about storage stuff. It was, or maybe it was Jerry Seinfeld, either one of them, but talking about how you need stuff.
Oh no, it is that guy. Yeah.
You buy the stuff, and then you need to buy
need more shit.
House.
Yeah.
And then it just continues to go, and it's like we have too much stuff, and then you got to get rid of the stuff, and then you buy more stuff. It's just like it's a silly
George Carlin, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Totally. I think I've seen that bit. But yeah, and it's like, why houses? I'm like, as much as I want my own house, I'm like, I gotta be careful, because if I get a house that's too large, I will inadvertently fill it with more shit.
You will.
And if you don't give yourself the space, you won't. You can't.
That's exactly yes. That's one of the benefits I was telling people about living in the van, and they were saying, "Oh, never do that." I was like, "Oh yeah, but you learn. Like, you downsize with the things that you need, and you don't need anything else. Like, you really don't." And when I bought this house, I moved into the house with a van full of my belongings, and I put it all in here, and it was in the center of the room, and I was like, "I need to buy more stuff." and I started to, and it wasn't necessarily just to fill the space, but it was because it needed to feel like a house.
Totally.
And with the small amount of things that I had, it didn't feel like a house.
So why is it that a house can only feel like a house if it has things?
Yeah,
it's like it's not good enough to just shelter us and keep us warm. I guess I gotta put things that make me feel surrounded, cozy.
Yeah.
Personality is one thing. I get that, like where it feels like it reflects you or the environment you want to exist in. As somebody who is, plenty of jungle foliage growing everywhere in here, I get that a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's weird.
I think the stuff, yeah. Speaking of stuff, I remember, when I was younger, I was a big collector, and I spent a lot of time. So I was bad at school, very bad at school, and I couldn't focus. Spent a lot of time drawing and not listening and failing my tests quite a bit. And so my teachers and my parents had frequent conversations about this, about possibly holding me back and what's troubling me, things like that. So my mom came up with this idea that she would incentivize me by, if I completed my assignment, I would get a pack of cards. Or I think it was for the week. If I completed my assignments for the week, I'd get a pack of cards, like sports cards. I was really into basketball, and I thought that was pretty cool. So
that is pretty cool as a kid. Yeah,
that did incentivize me, but it incentivized me more to find where this box of cards was hidden in the basement, and then proceed to steal the packs when my mom was gone.
Wait, so she had to figure that out, right?
I think, yeah. That box went pretty quick in terms of, yeah. Or some, and then sometimes what I do is I'd go down there, I'd open the packs, and I'd open them up and I'd look through them, and then I'd take like the Michael Jordans out, or like all my favorite ones, and then I'd like put the shitty ones in, and I'd make it kind of look like it was never opened in the first place. But I think, yeah, eventually she figured that out, and that went away pretty quick. But my friend Chris, who I mentioned before, he was like, "Hey, have you ever checked out this app called Whatnot?" And I was like, "I don't know what it is." And he came to visit, and he was showing me how easy it was to I'm getting a phone call. How easy it was to bid on things. It's like an online auction, and he was getting into sports cards at the time because it was reminding him of him and his brother used to do it. And I was like, "Whoa, that's actually really cool." So I downloaded it, and the first night that I downloaded it, and I stayed up till 6 a.m. bidding on cards, and I spent over $1,000. And I was so excited. The dopamine was through the roof. And the next day I did it again. I stayed up even later and I spent even more money. And then I was like, I gotta cool off, because I only had like $1,000 left in my account at the time. This was before I cashed out my 401k. This is like a month ago. And still also didn't have a job. So I'm like, what are you doing? You don't have an income and you're spending money, all this stuff. But it was just like igniting the child in me. I was like,
dude,
yes.
Nostalgia is one of the most powerful things. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and here's another thing. You get a rush when you win these auctions. And then you get a rush when you get the package in the mail. You get to open that up, and it was like just what I needed. But I have to limit myself on that now. But yeah, if you don't mind, let me show you some of them that I've got.
Oh yeah, the little treasure chest there.
Yeah, this is just one box. There's another box. Obviously, I live in Minnesota, so these are a lot of Minnesota. Karl Anthony Towns auto, which is pretty sweet. Yep. And what else we got? Here's a Randy Moss patch, so it's like from his jersey, which is pretty sweet. And then a couple other autos, things like that. But again, it's like I have intentions on reselling some of this stuff, but I don't know when I'll get to it. I just don't want it to be more stuff that we just talked about.
I feel you on that. Yeah, I actually have a small thing of cards that I've kept with me through college. It's got jersey cards. It's got signed cards. I got one that's got like a piece of a field goal from the winning field goal kick for the Patriots in the Super Bowl or some shit.
Piece of a field goal? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. So when I was a kid, and I'd go to see my grandma. She knew I was really into sports cards, and she would always take me to this place called Schindler's in Minneapolis. And it was a card store, and they had these like big, like those poster things you flip through in the store that have all the posters. It was like that, but it was full of cards, or it'd be like up on the wall, and there'd be like 25 cards pinned in there with their price, and then boxes of cards you can flip through, like all that shit, right? And she would bring me, and she would give me a budget or let me buy a card or something, and I would do that like all the time. I definitely fell out of it, but yeah, I have just this little box of like the valuable ones or whatever, and I've just like kept it with me through everything. So I'm gonna need your feedback on that when I find it.
Yeah, and it's funny how we were convinced all the 90s kids were convinced that we were going to become millionaires if we held on to these for our lives. And a lot of the they overprinted so many of those common cards.
Yeah. So what's the deal with that now? Like it doesn't matter anymore, or only certain sets, or?
Yeah, I would say it's the ones that are short run, so like they're limited quantity. There are a few particular cards that are valuable, like the Michael Jordan rookie card. There was only a couple hundred, I think, that were ran on that. That's why it's worth like, I don't know, like $20,000 or $30,000 or something. Don't quote me on that. But things like that are still out there. But right now, it's like they're doing some crazy stuff with sports cards these days, and that's what really got me into it. Is like the one of ones that they have going on, and like they have numbered cards, so they'll only do like they'll say like 1 of or like 29 of 50.
Yeah.
So I've just been really focusing on like autos, patches, and then numbered, because there's only so many of those.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and it's really cool to have something that's like unique, like that nobody else really has.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's like kind of feels like the whole point of the collecting, right? If everyone has it, then
right,
it doesn't feel that special.
And it's kind of like collecting art, because a lot of these.
Yeah, I do think they've gotten. Well, they did the same thing with Pokemon cards in the past, like I don't know, 5 years maybe, where they started printing what they call illustration rares or full arts, where the whole card is like art, and each one is
really?
like a different artist, and it really makes it more like art. Like it feels like you're actually collecting art. Sadie's
Yeah.
brother got really into it during COVID.
I don't know if you can see this, but
Oh yeah, that's cool. For
it's
sure.
a very cool card.
Yeah.
And yeah, just some of the things that they're doing right now with. See if there's one other one that I really like. Yeah, it's a one of one, and the artist actually signed the back. And I don't know if it's actually has any value, any resale
Got
value.
it. Okay. It's just cool.
They're kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Check it out. This is a Anthony Edwards rookie card.
Oh, whoa. That is cool. Holy shit.
Yep, it's pretty sweet. And then the back says one of one and has the signature of the artist who created this.
Wow.
So it's like they took a card and I don't know how they did this. I really don't know.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's essentially just art. It's art collecting. That's all.
Totally.
Art.
Yeah, I totally am on board with that. I definitely yeah. And if it has value to you, and again, if you enjoy it, hell yeah.
But yeah, I think that's, and I, you said that you were kind of getting back into Pokemon, right?
Well, since Alex got into it, we've been around it, and I have a binder somewhere in storage here, and like from my childhood type things, and Sadie does too. Sadie has hers, so yeah, I'm gonna dig mine out, but yeah, like talking to Alex about it, he's like, I mean, he's gone in hard. Like he made a business, a collectibles business.
Oh, really?
Like a legal entity and he has a whole room in his house for it now and shit.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been really interesting. But just getting informed on the culture through him and just observing that has really made me interested in it again. Not to mention the nostalgia we're talking about, right? Like there's something about flipping through a page of a book of these cards that whether it's athletes or like Pokemon you started with as a kid, and it being ones you've collected, and almost like the story that goes with that is like really interesting. So yeah,
no, that's great. I love that you're getting back into that. It's reigniting. It's like
I don't have a hobby really. Like my hobby is like work or making shit and fucking around down here and fixing the ship and whatnot, but like it doesn't feel like a hobby. That still has a little bit of like a work energy to it. So having a hobby I think would be good for me, and it feels like the right type of thing that would be a good hobby.
What was the guy's name? The fighter now? He was like a YouTuber, now he's Paulson.
Oh, Jake Paul? Or is it is that his name, or is it the other Paul? Yeah, and he wore the Charizard? Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's just I think what's happening, there's like a resurgence in our childhood things because we are starting to have decision making in life. And there's people that just like never gave up on what they loved, and they're like they're these people that have a little bit of power now. And they're like, yeah, you know what's cool again? Like Charizards, that's what's cool. And then we're like, oh yeah,
that's right, those were sick.
Yeah,
the psychology of it all really is fascinating, because that's kind of what investing and collecting kind of is it's really, because like with the cards, it's what's in demand or why it's in demand, and whether it be a player or just people thinking there's a need for it or demand for it even though there's not. And yeah, and like even with Pokemon, I've heard that like it's like classics, like a Charizards are almost always collectible because they're just such a favorite, because of the lore of the OG first edition Charizard. He's retained this value in his future cards because he's just kind of a badass since day one or whatever. So people have psychologically decided he's worth money now still or whatever.
And what happened to Beanie Babies? Is there going to be a comeback? No?
That's funny because Sadie has a fat box of Beanie Babies, and I don't think they're worth anything.
She's gotta start the resurgence.
She keeps claiming they're going to be worth money, and it's like, I hope so, but only if other people decide they're worth money, and apparently nobody's really done that. I don't know.
It's so weird. There needs to be a collective agreement that something's valuable.
Yeah, right.
There's no real.
There isn't.
This, like, what does this do? Like, it's a cardboard. It's like, okay, maybe a book, like a page. What do you call it? Bookmark.
Yeah.
Oh, there's really no other purpose for it. It's like, that's what I think about too. Is like, what if things go really bad, and there, global warming, all this stuff, and suddenly all this is meaningless, worthless. It's like, well, it essentially, if that's possible, what makes it worth something now? It's the fact that we're living in a time where the option is available for us to make
enough
it worth.
People have money to spend on that. They have money and interest on that specific thing that enough, and there's enough of them, or I guess a shortage of them, that it raises the price. Or that's really interesting. Like, enough people need to collectively be like, yeah, that is pretty cool. Actually, I would pay money to have that or something. And
Yeah.
And then his friend's like, actually, yeah, I would pay more money actually. And now it's like a competition of who gets it.
Yeah. I think, it's going to be interesting who gets stuck with all of what was once valuable stuff that no longer will eventually be valuable. It's like, that's kind of what it is. I think it's just it's like, oh, here, you give me money and I'll give it to you. It's like hot potato with collect.
Totally.
And then when the buzzer goes, it's like, oh,
yeah,
sorry, the world's gone to shit, and you're stuck.
Yeah,
with
it's
all
like
this.
Stocks, kind of. It really is investing, which still is psychology, really. And yeah, you're just kind of like, if you're in it to make money and not so much to the joy or the thrill of collecting. Yeah, it's just like, how do I offload this before it's worth nothing down the road, but make the most, but keep it long enough that I made some extra dough on top. Investing's fascinating. I don't know shit about that.
It's tricky, man. Well, how else have you been? What have you been up to lately? I haven't talked to you in a while.
I mean, I myself have been in seclusion trying to figure out what I want to do. Similarly, like, I feel like you're perhaps about to start a bit of that, but man, yeah, like with everything we talked about, just getting so burnt out, I needed to remove myself and get some space and reconnect with myself, who I feel like I am, and figure out how to presently be that person and how to share that person, and not feel like I need to censor that person, and figure out how to let him out through creating, figure out what I want to create, and then through doing that, then I'm gonna have to. Being away from the internet has been nice. Being isolated out here has been nice, but I've been toying with what that looks like to get involved again, through inevitably wanting to share anything I make, as I think that's an important part of the process or the cycle. And I just really want to be careful that I don't fall into the previous problems that, the shit we've discussed. And so I don't know what that looks like. So I'm just kind of like, hold out, fucking around, experimenting, making shit, and kind of hoping that getting in touch with myself a little bit more will allow more things to present themselves, maybe, if that makes sense. I think there's a little bit of, dare I say, manifestation that comes from connecting with that part of yourself, because I think opportunities present themselves more frequently or better, or you have more serendipitous incidents, and going with your gut can often yield the right things for you, even though you don't know what it's going to be. And so I've noticed things here and there more and more. You know, the gut feeling I had of something ain't right, I need to get the fuck off the internet for a hot second, was a kind of a gut feeling. It was kind of against everything else. And now I'm glad I did it. And it's presented myself with other opportunities that have been really valuable. So that just kind of encouraged me to do more of that. You know, creatively, I've felt called to fuck around with a lot of shit that might feel like left field for the observer, but doesn't for me, because it feels a little bit in tune with who I am at my core. So yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of fucking around out here, a lot of figuring it out, really. So like, I really connect with everything you're talking about and going through that part of the journey. I think it's really important. I do.
Is the fucking around that you're talking about, is that music that you're like genres, or are you like trying, like, what is it beyond music?
I mean, a little bit of everything, to be honest. Definitely music. I've been demoing here and there when I can, and I've been really drawn to this sort of natural, organic jungleness that, as you can tell, but I can't even tell you why. I just feel called, and it feels nice, and I feel like investigating that, and so that's part of it. So I've been really into kind of music like that, but also just all sorts of stuff that I've been trying to remove that fear of, like the genre constraints or expectations that come with that, and try to embrace creating more holistically, and as an artist, and less as a I don't know what you'd call it, like a servant to a genre or something. Like, I feel like sometimes happens, but amidst music, I'm like really into all sorts of things, like obviously tech and video and multimedia, and so I really love thinking about how I can combine that. And like this podcast has kind of been, I don't like calling it a podcast. It feels different to me, because I think my intuition wants it to be more than that, and I don't even know what that means. But traditionally, podcasts kind of fall into like a niche or like a vibe of like a thing. And
wait, we're on a podcast right now.
This is a show. This is a fucking experience. Oh yeah, by the way, you've been recorded the past. Yeah, sorry, I just blindsided you there for a hot second.
I would have wore a better t-shirt.
That's a nice one. I like it. It's a very Bo Weber shirt.
Oh God.
But yeah, I don't know. It's like this whole thing of recording a captain's log has been an experiment. And I like have ideas, but I also just am doing it. Like, it's really kind of impromptu, and I think with that comes a certain type of creativity that I think is really unique to itself, that isn't premeditated. It's not overanalyzed. I've found myself really reverting back to desiring what's the word? Imperfections and like chaos in art. Having fucked around with this perfect pop kind of model, or the loop-based production that's really easy to make perfect and consistent, and unfortunately then homogenized. And I find myself now trying to find ways to stop that, because it's not interesting to me anymore. And this included, like any medium that I'm playing with, I'm kind of finding myself that I want it inconsistent. It makes it more interesting to me. And I hope that it's more interesting to anybody observing or checking it out. I hope that it feels just kind of like different. And I don't know, maybe 5 people watch it, but I also know that I'm enjoying making it, and that's something that's been missing. So
totally. I think, we've gotten so focused on the results of whatever it is we create that we lose the joy of actually creating it. And when you're able to create something without expectation, it that's like where the sweet spot is.
Right. And again, that's that youthful energy. You're like, I don't have an agenda to make this thing. I'm a kid. I'm making it because it's fun, or it's interesting, or it's challenging, or it's weird. And that's when you make great shit.
And who cares? Who cares if anybody listens to this? As a matter of fact, if anybody is listening to this,
stop right now. Leave.
I encourage you to message Kyle or I and say, "Hey, I listened to this thing. There was some valuable thing I got enough from it where I was hanging on this whole ride." That would be really cool.
I would love that. Yeah, I would love to know that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. So do that. Yeah, man. I think the thing that's tough for me is, challenging the barriers that we've created for us, whether it be staying in the same genre or trying to be the same version of what people think that we are.
Yeah,
has been how will people perceive or judge or accept these changes, these experimental things. One of the most simplest examples is like, when people put on Post Malone on Spotify, they want to hear Post Malone, and generally a lot of his music is the same. It flows through. It's a vibe. Hey, it's a party going on at the house, right? Okay, lots of people here. Let's put Post Malone on, and if per se, one of my songs becomes known as like a party song. Oh yeah, put on Bo Weber. He's and that's what people do. They know one song, but they're gonna put on one artist or something. And all of a sudden it changes from one pop, really good, party song to like some sad, depressing shit. They're probably not going to continue going down. They're just going to flip to a whole different artist. They're going to be like, well, that wasn't the vibe, so let's move on. Or even someone laying in their bed with headphones and they want to hear sad music. And then all of a sudden it flips to from one of my sad songs to a really upbeat pop song. It's like, I get concerned about that, and I know it's not necessary to be concerned about it. But these are the things that hold me back in experimenting different sounds or changing things.
Well, I wonder how people feel now with Post Malone putting on a country record, and they want to put on Post Malone, and then a country song sneaks its way in there, and they're like, "Huh." They're like, "That's not what I fucking wanted," but he's like, "Fuck
that's
y'all."
Exactly. I was just thinking about that. And I was like, yeah, he's doing a severe genre switch, but his stuff is also so very catchy. Like,
it's so good.
I live in a small town here, right? They play Post Malone. They love his country songs. They love his rap songs. There may be quite a few million people who don't like country at all, and they probably really despise the fact that he's doing this. And perhaps maybe they'll just click on one album. But I guess there's always, I don't know.
Well, you know what I was thinking about while you were mentioning all that is I think, like, yeah, you can go put on shuffle on an artist's page, right? Great. I think that's great. But I think in what you're describing, if someone wants to listen to an artist and then potentially not get blindsided by a vibe shift, that's where I think records perform really well, because what vibe that from my experience, and I think if you're doing it the way traditionally done versus just making a bunch of one-off singles or collabs and slamming it together on a record, often most artists making a record they're in a specific point in their life, career, they're experimenting with a vibe, whatever. That record tends to be that artist in that vibe at that point in time. And so when you put on a Post Malone's Bentleys and Bentleys and barbed wire or something, you're going to get that vibe. But you put on Ford F-1 Trillion or just F1 Trillion is what it's called, you're going to get that vibe because he was into country. And so you don't need to worry about getting blindsided by a shuffling an artist's page.
Right. True, but I don't plan on putting out albums anytime soon. I'm just doing single after single, and that's kind of where I'm getting stuck. Like, do I then just
And I'm curious, why do you feel that that's the vibe for you?
What's that?
Doing singles versus like an album.
Oh, I think the whole thing about giving each song its undivided attention when it comes out, and it's less it's more like, hey, this is a song, check it out. And when an album, it's like here's 13 songs, check all of them out. Like, I feel like I'm pressured to, like I said, give each song its due marketing and promotion. And when you put them all out at one time, it's like you have to hurry up and try to do a campaign on all the songs in like 2 months. And when you release one song, it's just like, okay, I can just do like does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, totally. And that's why I think most people are doing that, right? Like, I'm an old school boy. I really love records and miss records. Like, and I love when artists do records these days because they're like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I get a little bit more in depth with that artist versus it's like how do I say this? It's like I hate TikTok I hate TikTok as a tool to get to know an artist because it's small bite-sized chunks. I don't get a good picture. I love an album. And same with the single. Singles can be great, but I would prefer that single exist amidst a body of work so I can really get to know who that artist is, where they're at, and have more context for that track maybe. Plus, I think an album allows that artist more freedom to have some diversity in some tracks, given the context of the body of work, whereas singles can often feel like there's no context. It's just song, like whatever, and it can often be difficult to, like you're saying, put them in together into a vibe without somebody feeling like, oh wait, what the fuck was that? I'm used to this.
Right.
Context I think is just really helpful. It's really valuable, and especially for artists to have depths and to feel free to experiment a little bit, I think is healthy. So
yeah, I think
I'm not trying to say one's better than the other. It's just what I find myself being drawn to.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I think the thing that I like singles more currently is because it allows me to like, there's like, I can make an album cover for every song. It's like, it's its own creation. And so it's like, okay, this is the thing. You do a music video for every song too if you release it on an album, but still it's like, it feels like you can create a whole vibe around the campaign of the song. Of like, for example, Falling For You that I did, with the shot of, we made stickers for Falling For You. It was like the album cover and all this other stuff. And like, it was like the theme of my website, I had me and Allie were falling, like then the clouds and everything. And it felt so cool to be able to focus on that primarily. And then when you just do an album, it's like, well, there's one piece of art and then all of the songs fall under that piece of art. And that's kind of where I mean, you could probably just do a piece of art for each song, even if it's on the album, like with the canvases, right?
Totally. Yeah. I think each thing could definitely be, because like the way you're describing branding the single is definitely like how I would prefer someone do a record, right? Like really brand it out and it be this world where all these songs exist in. And then, yeah, if you wanted to, you could give each song almost like its own subsequent like thing or image or something that fits within the broader world or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, you definitely it's like you can exercise that more with singles for sure.
Yep. But yeah, I think there's no real right way or wrong way. Everything's going to change anyways.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like once we get focused on doing something the right way, things are going to evolve and change, and then it's like, oh, we didn't even need to do that in the first place because it's all organized by XYZ or this and that.
Yeah, really no rules.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting next decade coming up here in terms of music and just life in general. I'm looking forward to seeing how things shake out. But I think for now, just going back to my roots, doing the things that make me happy, and going back to just playing music live and not worrying about the marketing, the online marketing aspect of it, I think is going to be the best. Will give me the best chance of quality of life.
Yeah, I think so.
And I hope the same for you, man.
I'm glad you're doing that. It's important, and it's gonna yield results. I know that.
Thanks, dude. Well, hey, it was so nice that you called me. I really appreciate that, and hopefully we can have more conversations in the future like this.
Yeah, man. I'll let you get back at it, but you've now been connected to the portal, so feel free to pop in anytime. And do you have any departing words or things? Oh wait, I always forget. What are you listening to right now?
Listening to a lot of my own songs in the minivan because I'm doing a lot of mixing and spring tests. And just listening to artists like Kid Laroi, Ian Dior, those types of artists that are kind of somewhat similar to some of my style, and trying to listen to their radios, and getting a couple new artists on the spreadsheet. So I got nothing that anybody should really check out in terms of new stuff that's like new artists that wouldn't be otherwise related to my mission of what I'm trying to do. So sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
It's all right. It's just kind of curious. I'm always like, I think what someone's listening to is sort of a peek into where they're at with headspace, inspirations,
Actually, I lied. I do have something. Now you made me think of it. His name is, let's see, TikTok acoustic guitar guy. Let's see.
That's what you're searching?
Yeah, I know it'll work. It's gotta work. Oh wait, no, it's called he has got a really good song, like song about cancer. So mom passed away from cancer, as many of you do not know, but by guitar. And he writes, Jesse Wells. This is the guy that you need to check out. He is it's it backwards when you read it, but this guy.
Yeah. Okay.
He is a phenomenal singer, songwriter. He's so original. Like, his voice sounds like he smoked 100 packs of cigarettes a day. And his songwriting he is basically calling out all of this shit that's going wrong in America. He's got everything from the food we eat to everything. It's really cool and clever. It gives me chills. So I would suggest you guys check out some of his stuff. His songs are also very short and sweet. He just goes out in the woods, very raw, just puts a camera up and just sings with his guitar. And it's like a minute and a half long songs.
Wow, that's cool. That's like what's that guy that did that and kind of went viral? Who was the folk Americana type guy? I don't remember his name, but he kind of did the same deal.
I'm not sure. Oh, the guy who did Rich Men North of Richmond.
That one. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Kind of like that vibe.
Similar.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been into lately. Yeah. And I just like the rawness of it. And I think on it, like what you were talking about, you're so sick of the perfectionism of the loops and everything is so clean and crisp. It's really nice to have a change of pace with music that's just it is what it is when it comes out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as much as I like a nice loop style track, dance track, I like both. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you heard that here first, folks. Check it out. Any parting words? You want to sign us off here?
Oh boy, you're putting me on the spot here.
You've already shared a lot of wisdom, by all means. This has been great.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
sign us
no, it's
off.
been great. I will just say, if you are listening, the two people that are still hanging on, or maybe we're at negative numbers at this point. I would encourage you to just kind of, as a recap of what we talked about, stay, and this is part of your mission statement, I think, on this Discord, is stay curious, and also just listen to that internal voice, like Kyle was saying, of what feels right, and live by your own compass to the best of your ability. Keep an eye on your happiness, and make sure that you do the things that allow you to feel the most true and authentic to yourself. Find space for that. No matter what, you have to, because I think the whole goal is, we have all of these aspirations in life, but the biggest aspiration is to be content with who you are and what you're doing and the people that you're around. So I would just say, if your core goal is being accomplished, then everything else just reverberates out from that.
Bo?
I'm losing you. Bo? Fuck. Bo? We got a lot of interference.
And he's gone. All right. Well, fuck. We had a lot of interference that whole time. I thought we were gonna make it through that, but fuck, I got a lot of work to do still. Oh. And he had a lot of juicy wisdom to say at the end there. Okay. Well, back to work. I'll see you next time.